Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Worthy. We are on chapter 6, and I got Shikha here. Let's introduce today.
Are you banking on my internet to introduce?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and tell us what we're doing here.
Yeah, it's just my internet is a little stuck, so if I get stuck. But hi, we basically just chit chatting, and in that chit chatting, we're trying to make whatever impact we can make through this beautiful book called Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima. And the most amazing part of that book is that she's lived this life. It's just not a book that she's written and researched and just put together. She's put her whole life and how she's operated through her life and crossed over. And what is it that worked when, yeah, she read the book Worthy, or she created the book Worthy. So here we are, me and Michelle, we're just discussing and sharing this discussion, because in our discussions many things come which people can relate to, and they can reach out to us, they can reach out to community Michelle has created for mothers. They can reach out to me. We basically want a safe space where people can start feeling very worthy, and we are taking the support of this book where Jamie Ken Lima has taken it to a depth, to a level that is admirable. So we are on chapter 6 now. And Michelle, would you like to talk about chapter 6
Well,
starting?
I love the title of the chapter right away. The lie. So she's going through different lies that we've heard. I should only be seen when I'm happy. And I think we've really taken that in, and we hide ourselves or don't acknowledge how we're feeling because we're like, we have to feel a certain way. And I love she also then goes through to talk about the idea of toxic positivity.
Yeah.
Because I mean, sorry, the live in the Facebook group was actually working. So she talks about the idea of toxic positivity too, of that feeling of we're always trying to bring this energy, and you just need to change your thoughts and you just need to change this. But sometimes we just need to acknowledge how we feel, because without the idea of like without the negative, we can't necessarily enjoy the positive. So there are times we're going to feel sad, or we're going to grieve, or we're going to have some of these feelings we call negative and don't necessarily want, but we have to acknowledge those and understand where they're coming from before we can decide what to do with them. And I think we miss that, thinking that, oh, well, I always have to be happy, and I can't call my friend unless I'm happy because she's not going to want to hear from me. And so I just
Right,
hide myself away.
right, right. And also sometimes it's like we don't want to bother other people with our, so we just become very considerate, over considerate, underestimating their ability to be taking what we have in our lives, and we just think, oh, we're doing for the better, they should not see us like this. And I think over a period of time, I've realized, Michelle, that all negative emotions is just one of those speed breakers which you have to just cross, right? Not something that needs to be stopped, or you have to stop and like really dwell on it. We just it's just like a little speed breaker, and it's just part of that bump that you're just going through, and it has to be fully witnessed and experienced before you can go on the straight road again, and before you find another bump. And if you just see our like so-called negative emotions just like that, that's something we must cross, rather than just stop ourselves and think, oh my god, it's a very big mountain. Then it just gets in our way of living life fully. So yeah, and that's why she's talking about trying to put it all together with toxic positivity. And I like that whole thing a lot, that she's mentioned that in detail in the book.
I mean, the whole concept of growth requires stretching, requires the idea of some of these other feelings come into place because they're there for a reason. It's not that we should just say, okay, well, my sole goal in life is to be happy 24/7, because if you're going to grow and become a stronger person, that's not possible, because you're going to try something new. You're going to fail at something. You're going to go through these different moments. But I like how you said that as you guide them, that they're more speed bumps rather than a mountain. And so
Right,
you're still going to have them, but the more you acknowledge them as they come up, rather than trying to press them down, they don't get locked in your body. And so when
right,
you acknowledge that speed bump in front of you, and you're like, okay, we're going to go in with this, and we're going to do it. And I love how she says, she used the idea of capacity check.
Yeah, I love that as well. That was very
And
true.
so having that in place, and I'll get to that and what it means, but having that in place also helps create these more of a speed bump rather than a mountain. So for capacity check, what she refers to is that you set that up with the people you love, your trusted circle, right? You ask, do you have the capacity to listen to what I need right now? And the answer may be no. And that's okay. Like, but I can do this tomorrow, or when they can do it. And so knowing that way, you're not feeling like I'm not going to reach out at all
Right.
because that's the way I'm feeling. I'm not going to reach out. Instead, I'm going to reach out with the idea, do you have the capacity to talk right now to what I
Right.
need? I need something deeper. I need something right now to get something off my chest. And then they can then have the space to say yes or no versus saying, well, I'm just going to have to hide and take care of this by myself and I'll feel better afterwards. And you just suck it all down.
Right.
Good morning,
And
Marissa. I see you saying hi too. So we're going to say good morning, Marissa.
I think capacity check is for ourselves as well, where she mentions that sometimes we don't have the capacity to listen to somebody, and you can also do that capacity check. That can I listen to somebody else's, or can I support somebody else right now when things come? So it's both ways she's talking about the
Yeah.
capacity check. It's really amazing. I'm not taking it ever personally, I'm not sure if you read Don Miguel Ruiz, one of his 4 agreements was not to take things personally. And then we start taking things personally and we saying, oh my God, my friend doesn't want to listen to me, or I've said no to my friend because she really needed me. And it all capacity check is very healthy. And if that can be done with a lot of grace and not to like push somebody, but just say that let me just be prepared to help you and support you fully, is what she's talking about in that chapter. And it's just amazing how in little examples that she's mentioning, the fact that we don't feel worthy, and we don't feel worthy that somebody should listen to us or somebody will listen to us, and underestimating the share that somebody would want to extend their help to us and give it to us and we can receive. We feel so unworthy of receiving that we don't reach out. We don't reach out, and she's really worked on that part as well in this particular chapter.
Well, I think the capacity check also helps with that vulnerability, because if you set that into place with your trusted people who you want to, then it's less like you've already set that in place. So then all of a sudden when you do need the help or they need the help, it gives you that space to ask in a way that's not like, oh my gosh, like I'm burdening them with all my problems. And it's not that case. It's sometimes we just need someone to witness who we are and where we're at. And I have to read this quote right now. As she puts, you can't hide from yourself and heal at the
Yeah, I was
same
about yeah.
time.
Yeah, it's a very important thing, and I was about to read the same quote, exactly the same quote, and you can't hide and you can't heal, like you can't just keep carrying this whole thing and hidden there. This again coming back to being worthy, being enough, being complete, just the way you are, whatever situation, whatever emotion. It's something very important to keep discovering when we are restraining from not going and talking to somebody, or we are saying, okay, again, the workshops that I do, the negative chatter that comes up in the head, hundreds of stories we give to ourselves that why this is not the right moment, this is not the right time, these are not the right people, this is not the right place. And then years pass by, and then the piling and piling and piling happens. And right under that, it's all, I'm not worthy of the help that I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have to read this quote right at to end that. It says, next time you feel like you don't want to bother a friend or a loved one, try to see it as a potential gift of connection you're offering to them too when you call. They might just need the same at the exact moment, because usually we are energy connected. And so sometimes when you're off and they're able to help with it and they can feel it as well. And so sometimes we think it's a burden. Have you ever thought of it as a gift to someone else that you're reaching out to them going, I need you right now, and them to feel like, oh, they need me right now. They need my help.
Yeah.
And you know what it feels like to like be asked for help. That's okay. Like you have no problem. Like, I mean, I have no problem dropping, but it's like all of a sudden like, I need help. I can't ask. And so,
Yeah.
so it's like,
Yeah.
it's gotta be reciprocal though.
Yeah, and it's a proven fact. It's been discussed many times in many places that the joy people get when they give, um, you know, you cannot underestimate. Everybody is sitting here wanting to, give, contribute, make an impact. And if you ask for help, you're giving them opportunity to fulfill that part of them that wanted to create an impact, or they wanted to contribute, or they wanted to. So really, it's a win-win, because the person who gives also wins, and the person who is talking is also winning. So when the connection like that happens, and then most likely the positions will reverse sometimes, and the bonds are created and relationships are created, and that's how communities are built. So it's not about hesitating and showing it. I will not say a lesser self or a negative, but just stating an emotion that you're going through, the bump that's there, and that it's difficult and you need help. So I've started doing it. It's taken me a lot of years to do that, but now I can do it. I can I can say, oh, I am behaving like this because I am going through something, so I need space. Like, even saying that sentence has taken me 42 years to just say, rather
Yes.
than saying, rather than saying, oh, yeah, okay, I'll fix it. I'll just fix it. Don't worry. I'll be okay in 5 minutes. I'll be okay in 10 minutes. You'll just see a better version of me in 10 minutes now. I don't think so. I'm broken. I'm gone. I'm not getting up. Like 20 days, forget it. It might take me 30 days. It might take me 2 days. I don't know how long, but I'm broken and I'm working on it. So asking for patience is also an ask. It's not always you want somebody to just keep listening to you. Just the patience. I've started asking my children for patience sometimes when I say, I just need your patience. Just help me be a little patient with my emotions coming out. So even that ask is such a big ask. We're not telling them to solve it sometimes, but people can't even ask to have patience and give me some space. And that itself is such a task.
I think that's just so beautiful the way you said that too, because especially with our kids, and I've been doing that as well, is like if when I lose it or something, and I go back and I look at what may have caused it, and I go tell my kids, like, I'm not trying to excuse myself, I'm just trying to say where it came from, and what I'm going to try to do differently forth, and so that they can see that model to do that for themselves. I mean, we're going to make mistakes, we're imperfect, but it's acknowledgement. And what do you do after the fact of what happened? And my daughter is so funny. She was just, I think she had said something to my husband, and then she was just like, I'm afraid if I tell you something, you're just going to go off in your room and cry. And I was like, well, sometimes we need those emotions, and sometimes we need to take that pause. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't tell me those things, but it's knowing that they're having those feelings as well, and having those open conversations, I think, is the beauty of all of it, which is the hard part. That's the vulnerable part, is sharing the insight. And I think that's what we're afraid of. But the more we do it, the easier it becomes. And then, like you said, that's what turns the mountains into speed bumps then, because they don't last long. I mean, I can remember being upset by a situation where I felt like I didn't belong with a group of women, right? And that might take me 3 or 4 days to get over. And I just keep playing that in my head over and over. I should have said this. I should have done this. I should have. And those thoughts just going over and over in your head. But now when those things happen, it's like, yeah, I should have done that. And it might like be a couple of thoughts here and there, but it's not that repeated broken record over and over that you play for yourself, because you've been doing the work and realizing that, those things do happen. What do I do now? I can't just replaying it in my head over and over isn't going to do anything. I can either talk to the people separately, or I can just move on, or whatever it is, but you figure those things out. And so I think the more we do this deep work of knowing that we're worthy, we're going to make mistakes. And it leads us right into how she ends this chapter, which is living in our alignment. And I love how she uses that phrase. And that's the phrase I use for the title of this as well, because it's true. When we start listening to what's inside of us, those callings that we had, for instance, my son and I are going to Tanzania shortly. And I had a coach tell me, you need to do a summit. You need to do one where there is, where it's just charity. Everyone's just donating the speaker spots just for that. And I was like, I can't pull this off. I can't do it. I'm not. And then when I brought it to the people who as a team, we were able to do it. And I realized that I didn't have to do it alone, but if I would have just not brought that forth and hid that calling from inside of me. And I think that's what Shikha was saying earlier is it's really just about acknowledging what's inside of you and how do I get that out? And a lot of time it's when we suppress those, that's when we feel like I'm not worthy because I'm not listening to the things that I need to step out of my comfort zone to do.
Right. And many times we don't reach out, Michelle, also because we give this story to ourselves that we are being protective. I should not tell my husband about it because I don't want to spill over my negative emotions. I'm trying to be protective. I see this purely sometimes, even for me to share a reel that states exactly how I'm feeling. Even sharing that reel feels so guilty with my husband sometimes because he's such a beautiful soul. And I'm just like, why am I spoiling his mood by telling him and sharing this reel? And he exactly knows that reel after reel, 1 or 2, 3 reels are going. And that's the way sometimes I speak because, I'm just like, they said it. I don't know how to say it. So let me just share it. And then I try not to make an eye contact when he's back from office and everything because I'm trying to always pretend everything's fine. And, those reels were just, but, one would not recognize or you'll not share anything that's not inside of you. You have to recognize it within your system, within your being. And if something is speaking to you, is exactly what's happening inside, and that's why it's speaking to you. So even little things like these, and trying to be protective about your loved ones, your children, you keep just thinking, I can take it. I can definitely take this one. I can definitely take this one. And we don't reach out from that protective uh, instinct that we think we are the only one in the world who have it. We think, oh, I'm the only one who's probably have it, the protective thing. So it's amazing that she's underlining all these things to not feeling worthy of health, of good sleep, and if sometimes you need to just say, I need really good sleep, and I'm worthy of staying that sleep. Can you take this off my plate? And ask for that help. Even that's a tough one for many of us, especially moms, for sure, to do.
I want to combine her. I've been also reading the Empowered Wife, and her book starts off with acknowledging your desires. And so I kind of want to put that with Jamie's idea of living in alignment and your idea of asking for help, but also using that strong word of desire on purpose, like to say, I desire more sleep. I desire these things. And not that you necessarily have to get all these things, but if you just start writing them down or acknowledging what they are, then you can see what the possibilities are. And it's not that you necessarily need to have all these things, but when we just suppress and say, oh no, that's not going to happen, that's never going to happen, and then that's when we start to not live in our alignment because we're saying, oh no, that's not going to happen, my husband will say no to that, the kids won't want to do that, but we don't even acknowledge those desires, whether they happen or not. And so I really want to use that word and throw that out to everyone. I desire some more sleep. I desire some help from my friend. I desire, and to really use that word and see what comes up for you as you start to think of that. I desire ... Start filling in the blank and seeing what do you actually need, because when you really acknowledge those true desires, that's when you start to live in alignment to what your soul is calling you to do. And she put, I have this at the bottom of my book. Actually, that's a quote. With congruency comes connection. With congruency comes intimacy. With congruency comes freedom. So when we put the congruencies with the connection and intimacy, that's actually what gives us that feeling of freedom that we are all looking for. Right. And so we can use that brief word of I desire to help figure out what is the connections we want, what is the intimacy that we want, what will bring that congruency together, which then leads us to our feeling of freedom, which is actually what we're all looking for. It's not necessarily the money. It's not necessarily the new house. It's that feeling of freedom we get from using the money. It's the feeling of freedom we have from being in the new house we desire. And so that's what we're truly looking for. And so when we start to put the words I desire with it, and we start acknowledging those to figure out what is going to bring us more connection, what is going to bring us more intimacy for us, because what Shikha wants, her desires is different from what I desire, but we have to acknowledge our own.
Yeah. And also, just to like probably wrap up the conversation, is do not underestimate the effect of keeping quiet for very long, because it, like, stuck emotions become cancer, is what I was reading somewhere. Stuck emotions
Yes.
become diseases, autoimmune problems. And um, then your loved ones who you're not reaching out to will have to deal with that in their life. So it's really not a gift when you're not asking for help at the time when you need it. It start if you went like, and again, last 2 3 weeks back, I was just going through some tests, and there were some things which were moving in my health. I'm pretty healthy otherwise, and now I started to move within the system. So I told Rohit, my husband, finally, I said, if I don't ask for help now, this is going to become cancer or something 10 years down the lane. Okay. So I better not be spending my old age as a cancer patient with you. I rather ask for help now. I don't want to be a cancer patient with you. I want to have a beautiful life once we retire, once we kids are grown up. I want to travel with you. We love road trips. I want to do that. I want to do that. So it's not always that the food is helping us. These stuck emotions are creating diseases slowly in our system, eating us up inside. And that's the gift we're going to give after all the hard work we give to children. We're waiting for them to grow up, and then they will have a mother who's dealing with cancer or autoimmune. And I'm very passionate about wanting to reverse diseases naturally. And one of the things that can reverse is this: asking for help, resting, telling people that I think it's enough, and feeling the relief and the release.
Yes.
And that hormones will work on it. They will calm down inside. The cortisol will level up. Everything will just, you don't even need to meditate, really, I feel, if you can ask for help, because the amount of release. And you can do all the meditation and not ask for help and still not find the release. Like, that can also happen. We can think we're meditating, but we are social beings, right? We need somebody and say, reach out to the hand and say, can I just hold your hand, and I just really need help. So encouraging all the audience to say, don't underestimate the the ability to like push it down, and our body's ability to take it after a point.
Oh,
And
yes.
you
Yes.
know then, and that dealing is a, I feel, would be a waste for me if I was at 55, 60, trying to deal with a very severe disease, and my husband is dealing with that disease with me, or vice versa for him. And I would just feel I should have reached out to him. I should have said, really speak, because that's the modern reality. That's where we are all headed with this stuck emotion, and it's not working for us in physical world as well. So we need to give healthy selves to our children tomorrow, who we are giving all our lives to. They should look at the mom. It's like, we want to be like your a mom. Look at her, how healthy she is. They should always see her smiling, happy. For that, there's some work, help required, and that's what we
Well,
need to do.
but I love that word. I love how you use the word stuck in there, and it really kind of simulates what this is all about. Because when you feel stuck, you're not feeling that, and you're not living in that alignment of what you were given. And so when you feel that, it's what can I do about it? And like you said, one of the things, we are wired for connection. And so being able to ask for help to bring that true connection, and not the hi, how are you doing? I'm fine connection, the superficial connection. We're wired for deep connections with others, especially as women. And so I
Yeah.
love how you brought that up. So let's reach out to each other and bring more genuine connection to each other, and try to release some of that superficial connection that we've just become habit, because that helps us, that only makes us feel more stuck.
Right. And again, just to wrap up, what comes to me right now when you're saying this is that, you know courage, like having the courage to get inspired, to find the solution out from this feeling stuck, itself is a very award-winning thing in today's modern time. Don't
Yes.
think that you need to get some big awards. If you can find the courage to get inspired, to come out of that whole thing and look and be curious, where can I find the solution to be out from here, and take the courage, trust me, it's a very courageous step to do that. It's nothing like something that you can just sit and speak about it and say, yeah, I feel like, okay, fine, I feel inspired, I'm out. It hurts. It takes work. It takes consistency. It takes reminders. It takes constant work. And like in my case, I constantly remind myself through visuals all the time. What's it saying? What's it saying? What's it saying? What's my face saying? What's my face saying? And the rejection part is gone from me. So I'm always looking for messages. So have the courage to be inspired. Inspiration needs courage as well, which needs a pause and silence and asking for help. And all that together is a great ingredient for a healthy, happy life
I
when
love
everything is settled. When everything is settled.
And honestly, as Shikha was saying, it just starts with asking the question,
Yeah.
how can I feel better? Or what answer do
Yeah.
I need? And being willing to be open to the solutions that come to you. And it does
Yeah.
and patience
Yeah.
sometimes too with it.
Yeah.
And so with that, I think we will leave you with chapter 6. Again, it was, I should only be seen when I'm happy. Let's get rid of this lie and reach out to each other and create genuine connections. And we'll
Yes.
see you in chapter 7.
Yes. See you guys.